What we haven't done yet in the Conjuring universe is tell a story over the course of one night. And I thought, oh, that really speaks to the time period we're in when, a lot of horror movies back then were over the course of one night. And, so I thought that would be a really sort of a fresh approach. So what this is, while Ed and Lorraine go away for a lecture, they leave their daughter home alone with the babysitter, Mary Ellen, and through the course of one night, Mary Ellen, one of her friends who recently lost a parent, is sort of very curious about the afterlife and becomes even more curious once she finds out what the Warrens do. So she comes over to sort of, poke the bear, as it were, to see if there is some sort of proof of the afterlife, or are there ghosts? And if that means, if there is, then maybe her father, who she recently lost, is still out there somewhere. And that kind of sort of sets things in motion. And it is, by doing so, she sort of puts her and Mary Ellen and Judy in danger. The Warrens sort of bookend our movie, and we're sort of just living with people throughout the movie, sort of experiencing what is happening around them and figuring out how to solve it on their own. In the Conjuring movies, of course, Ed and Lorraine come in and they sort of save the day. And in this movie, it's really about Judy sort of taking up the mantle of her parents and trying to figure out how to save the day for Mary Ellen and Daniela. The thing with Ed and Lorraine, I wanted to think about them not just in terms of paranormal investigators, which they do so well in the Conjuring movies. What I wanted to really sort of dig into in this one a little bit while we had them was just to think about them as parents and what that's like, knowing the job that they do, knowing the danger they put themselves into, and how, just as a parent myself, how that must feel, to try to give your kids some sort of normal life, but meanwhile you are living these extraordinary stories every time you leave your house. I think every time you see the artifact room in any of the other movies, you're sort of going like, what's that story? What's that story? What's this story? And so to have that opportunity to tell those stories in this movie was just, that was kind of the inspiration and what got me really excited to do it. Because there are, Ed and Lorraine, if they have dozens of books, they have a ton of cases to explore, and this gives us an opportunity to get a glimpse into a couple of them. We're not trying to shoehorn anything in. We just say, well, this feels like it might speak to thematically what Judy's going through. Let's use that, as opposed to like, oh, this is just a cool scare. Like, we're trying to build and play on the, we try to think of from a character standpoint, what are the characters going to be scared of, not necessarily what James and I are going to be scared of. Although James and I do scare easily, it turns out. James is just so generous with his talent and with his ideas, and it was such to sit there and just we go, what about this? What about that? And then we started with really hundreds of options, and then it's just a process of elimination. Like, what are the things that excite us the most? I had my thing, James had his thing, and and then we had and then we sort of, okay, we'll do this, we'll do that, and what about this? And it was very much a great collaboration, sort of back and forth. Patrick Wilson, Vera Farmiga, they're in this movie, they're in the film, Patrick and Vera in the film, and it was such an opportunity to have sort of the Conjuring movies and the Annabelle movies sort of intersect and sort of cross over in a strange way. I mean, we've always been in the Conjuring universe, in the universe of Ed and Lorraine, but to sort of have them on screen together again was just really sort of a special experience, and really helps kick off this movie. Working with McKenna, Maddie, Katie, it was, when you audition people or when you talk to people about coming on board the movie, sometimes you go, hey, can I just hear you scream and so I can hear what that sounds like? I don't think I did that with any of them, but they played scared so well. And that is so hard to do as an actor. I see it all that, like, people just, it's, because fear is like, there's people react differently to being scared, right? Like, some people start to laugh uncontrollably. And it's very hard to, especially on screen, for people to seem scared. And it's such an important thing, because if we're not feeling that our character's scared, then the audience isn't going to feel scared. So I did give them, exercises or pages to sort of, hey, show me what being scared is like. But I did not have them scream, and turns out they have some of the best horror movie screams of all time. I love the Conjuring universe. I love the scares. I love the Conjuring movies. When I first saw The Conjuring, it was I knew immediately it was a new classic. Like I couldn't wait. It was like, I know my kids are gonna be watching this movie 20 years from now. It has that it's gonna have that sort of longevity to it. So, you know, I really wanted to apply that aesthetic to this movie. Like I wanted to introduce a couple new types of scares that maybe we haven't seen before in the movies, but still apply that sort of what I call the James Wan aesthetic of that, you know, just trying to go with the unexpected, you know, in terms of where that scare is going to come from. You know, you build up and you think it's going to come around from the corner, and you come around the corner and nothing's there, and then, you know, you figure out from there where's it going to go, where's it going to come from, you know. So that's really what I tried to do with this movie. I think, first of all, I think the look of her is just, you know, she's got a great design to her. James killed it with that. I think it's the idea of, James has done this, you know, in a lot of his other movies, but, you know, you take something innocuous, you take something ordinary and you make it extraordinary, extraordinarily scary. And, you know, my favorite horror movies are the movies where after you're done watching them in the theater, you go home and you see the thing that was just killing everybody in the movie, or the thing that had a demonic entity attached to it in the movie, is suddenly you have something just like that in your house. You know, so I think, you know, dolls have been around forever, right? And everybody has had a doll, or, you know, has a doll in their house or whatever. So I think there's that sort of, you know, it's like, it's already inside your house sort of thing. Annabelle is real. She's sitting in an artifact room in Connecticut right now in a case that says "Do not open." That's not just for the movie. That's a real thing, and I think that really freaks people out, you know. But, you know, thank God for the Warrens. Faith has played a big role in all of these movies, and you know, I think it resonates today with today's audiences, just because, you know, maybe there's such a lack of it outside of the theater in some, you know, on some level. But I think, you know, if there's these demonic entities out there, if these demonic forces, you know, and by the way, we're going with, you know, Ed and Lorraine are real, right? They've been fighting these demonic entities their entire lives. And if that stuff really is real, then there must be the inverse of that, right? There must be some good out there. That's not just, you know, and and I think Ed and Lorraine really would probably say, you know, the good is in us. And I think that's something we've tried to show in this movie. There's not a Deus Ex Machina quality to it. It's not like, and then God comes down and shines us the holy light and saves the day. He works through Ed and Lorraine. He works through, you know, Judy in this movie. Like, you know, and that's kind of that's what Ed and Lorraine would say happens to them in real life, and I think we want to be true to that in the movies as well.
Hey, it's Lisa here with more on horror. Now, Robert Englund was not the first choice to play Freddy Krueger. Wes Craven reportedly planned to have a stuntman play Freddy Krueger, but wisely opted to go with an accomplished actor for the role instead. His first choice was David Warner. However, Warner had to pass on the project, which opened the door for the truly excellent Robert Englund. Now, click here below to subscribe, and also tap the bell to receive our videos in your feed.